All right, welcome everybody to Wyatt Zang's college football show. I almost said kickoff college football show. That's what it used to be, but it is Wyatt Zang's college football show, and we are live for episode number 27, and it is a jam-packed episode. We're gonna be talking about everything. Literally, when I was making the show and getting the show ready, I had a few things I was gonna be talking about. It was gonna be a normal length show. And then just more things, more breaking news things kept stacking on top of it. And to be honest with you, might be the most jam-packed show we've had since maybe the middle of the season, like maybe rivalry week. But it is going to be a absolutely jam-packed show, and I cannot wait to jump right into it. But yeah, with that being said, we are jumping into a lot today. We're going to be grading most of the top portal players in 2026. So a lot of the top quarterbacks and a lot of the top, we're going to be going through basically, I think like 15 players. So we're going to be grading them and giving like my predictions for where I think they're going to go like in 2026 season when predicting it's almost like a player previews for 2026. We're also going to be going over a way too early top 25 or not top 25, way too early top 10. And then we're also going to be addressing Dabo Sweeney. He tried the portal. He, dipped his toe in the portal, and it turns out he probably will never go back into the portal. And we're also going to be doing a little college football playoff expansion update as we have college football has decided on a format for 2026. So we'll go over that. And we're also going to answer 2 viewer questions at the end. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun show. So without further ado, we can jump right in. I mean, you can hear the stack of papers. There's a lot here. It's a thick stack of papers here. We'll go ahead and jump into our first segment. Dabo Sweeney and Clemson have, they've went into the portal. That is for sure, and they've tried it out. I think they've went after a few guys. They've got a decently ranked portal class, nothing great, but they went after a few guys. And one of the guys they went after was a former California linebacker. His name was Luke Farrelly. Yes, a former Cal linebacker. So, I will go into the full story and everything, and we're gonna, talk about this as a whole. We're gonna, dive into this. I mean, we got lots of notes here and lots of timeline things that we're gonna talk about, but I wanted to play a video real quick for you. This video is going to be. It's Dabo Sweeney. I think the video is like 2.5 minutes. It's an interview. It's not his entire interview. His entire interview was like 18 minutes, at least, of him talking. I listened to the whole thing. I suggest you listen to the entire thing. It's over. You can go on YouTube and go on the internet and search Dabo Sweeney Clemson press conference, and that's what comes up. First thing that comes up. So I listened to the entire thing. I'm gonna play a 2.5 minute clip of just kind of the summarization of what is going on, and then we'll jump into it and I'll discuss it on the other end. But yeah, I'm going to play this clip for you.
There's tampering, and then there's blatant tampering. Tampering 101 is when you're talking to kids who aren't in the portal. Tampering 201 is when you've already negotiated the deal with the kids not in the portal. Tampering 301 is when you got a kid who's gone in the portal, signed somewhere, moved there, gone to classes, and you're texting them while they're in class. That's like a whole nother level of tampering. And it's total hypocrisy because all this is going on while they, on the other side, are trying to fight their defensive end from going in the portal. They have accused publicly others of tampering with their roster and their players while they are over here tampering. All right, so this is just a really sad state of affairs, and it's, to me, we have a broken system. I'm not out to get anybody fired. That's not my objective in this. I'm not out to get anybody fired, but there has to be accountability and consequences for this type of behavior and total disregard for the rules. If this happened in the NFL, which is an actual league with rules, they would be fined. They would take draft picks. They, hit the cap, whatever. Again, I'm not trying to get anybody fired. I just want accountability, and there should be consequences for a total disregard for the rules. And this is such a terrible example It's a terrible example for young coaches in this profession. And to be honest with you, this is crazy. To me, this situation is like having an affair on your honeymoon. That's basically what we're dealing with. And I know for a fact that this is happening at other places. Because you know why? Because I've had a bunch of coaches over the last week that have reached out to me. And they're going, well, let me tell you what's happened to me. Let me tell you what I know. Let me tell you my story. I've had a lot of people reach out with their stories. And so I want to challenge all of those coaches that have reached out to me. I want to challenge all of them. You need to step up and call it out. Otherwise, don't complain. You either step up and you be an example to young coaches in this profession and be people of integrity, or just shut your mouth and don't complain again. That's what I would say to all the coaches out there.
Okay, so that was the video. That was the interview, the press conference with Dabo Swinney after everything had happened with the portal and Luke Ferrelli, and that was just a brief, interview or brief part of the press conference. It was, like I said, it was 18 minutes long. I suggest you listen to it, and I highly suggest you listen to it. It was very good, and it kind of opened your eyes of what goes on behind the scenes when you're going to the portal for players. And I got to tell you, tampering is a big issue in college football, and the fact that we're even talking about this is crazy. So we can dive into this entire thing. Like I said, there's a lot to unravel here, but so basically Luke Ferrelli signed at Clemson. Like he rented an apartment, he bought a car, he went to class, and he even trained with the team and took team meetings. He did all of that. Meanwhile, I mean, honestly, if Clemson people saw him walking around and doing all these things with wearing a Clemson team polo, team gear, the guy was invested in the Clemson. He was going to Clemson, and there was no changing that. At least we thought. Sunday, January 4th was the first contact with the player's agent. So Clemson was first in contact with Luke Ferrelli's agent Sunday, January 4th. Then Ole Miss, I'm trying to get my Monday, January 5th. He showed up at Clemson. Okay, so he showed up at Clemson Monday, January 5th. Or is that right? Yeah, Monday, January 5th. That was like his interview day. That was the day he was supposed to have his official visit, I'm pretty sure. No, it was the next day. He was supposed to have an official visit on Tuesday. Monday, he showed up at Clemson. He went to Dabo Swinney's house. They talked. Dabo Swinney asked him about the Ole Miss visit. And this is the quote from, I think, the player himself, from Luke Ferrelli. He said, unorganized, the building was messy, and they didn't even know what was going on. That was a quote, like quote, end quote. So Monday, January 5th, he showed up at Clemson University for his official visit. Okay? I'm sorry, that was the 6th. At 2:30 p.m., he had his official visit. Then after the visit, the visit went great. After the visit, he verbally committed to the University of Clemson. And then Dabo, I think like the next day, canceled all other linebacker visits because Dabo went in the portal to get one linebacker. He just wanted one. He didn't want three. He didn't want two. He wanted one linebacker. He got his linebacker. So after that, he shut down all the other portal visits. Then, not only that, but Wednesday, January 6th, Luke Ferrelli, the linebacker from Cal, officially signed at Clemson. It was pen on paper, officially signed at Clemson. Okay. Then, after that, January 11th, he moved to Clemson. He went to class for a week. He did training. He was with the team. There was no, if you're on Clemson and you're at the campus, there's no way if someone would have told you, oh, that guy's not going to be here. He's going to be at Ole Miss in a week. You would have been like, no way. He might be at Ole Miss next year. But no, unfortunately, it gets a lot worse. For Ole Miss, at least. January 14th, Dabo finds out that Ole Miss is coming hard at Luke Ferrelli. Meanwhile, he's been here for a week. He's been at Clemson for a week, and Ole Miss is still pursuing him. So right there, that's tampering. That is the first part of tampering, is the fact that he went after Luke Ferrelli, Pete Golding and Ole Miss did, while he was at Clemson. Then they contacted the Ole Miss GM. So Clemson contacted Ole Miss's GM and said, "We know what's going on. Stop contacting him or we can turn you in." So Clemson was like, "If you don't stop contacting him, we're going to turn you into the NCAA," which NCAA is going to do nothing. We know that. Then the Ole Miss GM said, "Pete Golding just does what he does," end quote. That was what the Ole Miss GM just said. He said, "Pete Golding just does what he does." So this is what I don't understand. You're the GM, and you can't, and you're just saying, our coach does what he does. Okay, that's not the right answer there. Luke Ferrelli then told Clemson that Pete Golding was texting him in his 8 a.m. class. So he is in class at Clemson, 8 in the morning, his first class of the day, and Pete Golding is texting him. How would you like to be sitting in class after being at Clemson for a week, signed, and Pete Golding's texting you? And imagine looking at your phone and saying, "Oh, it's a Pete Golding text." This is what Pete Golding sent in the text. Pete Golding's text was, quote, "I know you're signed. What's the buyout?" End quote. That is so much tampering. Like right there, right then and there, that needs to be shut down. Shut down. Like that needs to be shut down, and Ole Miss needs to be fined or something. Getting scholarships taken away, because that is bad. That is not what you need to be doing. And then Pete Golding, it got even worse. You didn't think it could? It got worse. Pete Golding then texted Luke a picture of a $1 million contract sitting on his desk. $1 million contract. So like if I set this piece of paper down and I took a screenshot and I sent it to him, $1 million contract. That's what Pete Golding sent. Luke also said that Golding had Trinidad Chambliss call him on his phone. So Trinidad Chambliss called Pete Golding, or called Luke Ferrelli. Phone was talking to him. He also had Jackson Dart call him too. So that's like, we keep going. Then Pete Golding was telling Luke to re-enter the portal. So the Ole Miss head coach was telling a Clemson player that has been enrolled for a week to re-enter the transfer portal. That is so bad. I don't even think you realize how bad that is. That is 10 levels of bad. Then, January 16th, Ole Miss reached out and offered, it gets worse, and offered Luke Ferrelli a 2-year, $2 million contract. And guess what? January 16th is also the portal deadline. I think that was a Friday. It's the portal deadline, or maybe Thursday, I don't know. He upped the contract by a year and an extra $1 million. Would you believe me if I told you it gets worse? Well, it does. Luke's agent then asked Clemson to increase their contract 2 years, $1 million. So Luke Ferrelli wants, his agent says, all right, Ole Miss just offered us $2 million on a 2-year contract, which is crazy. We're doing years on a contract in college, but that's where we are. So he says, I want you to offer me $1 million. I want you to give my player $1 million. And Dabo responds, he also says, this is the agent of the Luke Ferrelli, he says, if accepted, they would turn Ole Miss into the NCAA. So that's basically using Clemson, using Dabo Swinney as a way to be like, hey, if you give me $1 million, I'll give you the information to turn Ole Miss in. Insane. Then Dabo called Luke and got no answer. First, Dabo responded by saying no. He rejected the contract. Then he called Luke and got no answer. Luke had then requested to re-enter the transfer portal. So that same day, Luke Ferrelli requested to re-enter the transfer portal. Clemson representatives went to Luke's house. He was in the driveway and said, quote, I'm going to Ole Miss, end quote. So you have a player that has been at your program for a week. He went to your team meetings. He trained with your team. He took classes, and he's now entering the transfer portal again and leaving to go to Ole Miss. Insane. And Dabo turned everything into the NCAA, and I'm telling you this right now, the NCAA is not going to do a thing about this because the NCAA Doesn't do anything. I mean, remember the whole Michigan scandal? I think Michigan only got fined like maybe a couple hundred thousand. That was it. Just got fined. Michigan just got fined. They were like, oh, we're gonna make you forfeit wins. We're gonna take away TV time for you. We're going to revoke scholarships. None of that happened to Michigan. So, the NCAA won't do a thing. They don't have any power anymore. Basically, the NCAA is not really a thing anymore. All I can say is, when we conclude this has to stop. It's insane this is happening. Okay, it's insane that we're talking about literal tampering in college football, and that it's not allowed, but allowed technically because no one's doing anything about it. The NCAA hasn't done anything to Ole Miss as of 7/17 on the 26th of January. They've done nothing about it. Another thing, this is the last thing we'll talk about this, and then we can move on to better things about college football. Ole Miss accused others of tampering with their roster. Like, Ole Miss accused others of tampering with their defensive linemen that they were trying to keep on their team. Ole Miss accused the other teams of tampering with that player while they were tampering with Clemson players. So you're going to sit here and I'm going to take Pete Golding serious. People are going to take Pete Golding serious when he says, oh, you can't, you can't tamper with our players, and then he goes and tampers with Clemson players. And I got to say, Dabo Sweeney said it in the press conference. He said 2 wrongs don't make a right. And he's 100% correct. 2 wrongs do not make a right. And Pete Golding, I had a lot of respect for him. I still do as a coach. But as a leader of a program, this is not what you want to be happening, especially for recruits that you're going to be bringing in, them seeing this. They know you could pay people, but man, that is not the right way to do it. There it is. I need to take a drink of water after that because that was a lot of talking. Man, wow. That was a fun segment. That was a joke, by the way. For those of you listening on podcast, you can't tell when I made the joking fingers. All right. Before we jump into the next segment, which is college football segment. I mean, that's college football we just talked about, but kind of isn't. Let's check the live chat real quick. Someone commented, weird way to describe it, Dabo. But I do agree with him. If someone is already committed to a university or team, then don't tamper with them. It will only make it very much worse. Yeah, it's going to make it worse. It's definitely going to make it worse. So that's my whole Dabo take. And I agree with Johnny in the live chat. That's a no-no. All right, make sure you guys are subscribed, number 1. Make sure you like the video and comment. I want your guys' comments. I love to respond to them. You can follow me on Twitter/X, and you can join the Discord. Links in the description for all of that. All right, a few housekeeping things that we just had to cover there. Finally, get back to some college football. I mean, yes, we were doing college football, but that's not the fun part of college football. Grading top transfer portal players. What are there's a lot of players in the portal. There's over 6,000, I'm pretty sure. We're going to take the top 15 and we're going to grade them. And we're going to give predictions for what I think they're going to do on their new teams. Now, this list is, when I was putting it together, I really kind of enjoyed putting this segment together. First player is one that you all know, wide receiver Cam Coleman. He transferred from Auburn to Texas. This player, he's a wide receiver. He was at Auburn. He's a former 5-star. I think he's a sophomore. The guy can play football. His stats are on the screen for this past season. Nothing that jumps out at you, but he was also playing for Auburn, who hasn't had a good quarterback in forever, which luckily for him, his quarterback now is going to be Arch Manning. So Texas this year, this is the best chance for Texas to win a title, in my opinion. When you look at Texas's roster, keeping Arch Manning, keeping Ryan Wingo, he's returning. He's another receiver. Cam Coleman transferring in. Ryan Niblett at a third receiver. one of the best wide receiver rooms in the nation. I mean, obviously Ohio State's gonna have one of the best with Ryan Williams, Brandon Inniss. They're gonna bring in Chris Henry. They're gonna have a stacked roster over at Ohio State in the receiver room. But Texas is a close second, very close. I'm excited for Cam Coleman with Arch Manning. I think that's going to be a great duo. And again, they brought in a few running backs. We actually talk about one of the running backs later. But yeah, I got to say, I can't wait to see what Cam Coleman can do on Texas. Next is Sam Leavitt. Sam Leavitt was a former Arizona State quarterback. He transferred from Arizona State to LSU. I'm very excited to see what he can do because I think this guy has a ton of talent. This guy is a phenomenal quarterback. He's the quarterback that led Arizona State to their playoff run back in 2024. Yeah, last year. They led them back to the playoff run. First 12-team era. Arizona State won the Big 12, went to the playoff, almost beat Tech. They got a first-round bye, almost beat Texas, and almost played Ohio State in the Final Four. That would have been a fun game. But LSU's quarterback room is something to look for. Is they have Sam Leavitt, transfer. Hussein Longstreet, transfer from USC. We talk about him next, actually. And they also have quarterback Landon Clark from Elon, or actually it's where Kurt Cignetti used to coach. So they got a loaded quarterback room. LSU is the team that's going to be set at quarterback for probably the next 3 years because you have Sam Leavitt this year, Longstreet probably the next 2 years. What can we expect from LSU's offense this year? That's the question most people want to know. That's the question I want to know. I'm very excited to see. Well, when you look at what their offense has been, and LSU hasn't been anything to jump out. Ever since Jane Daniels, their offense hasn't been anything that really stands out. Like when you look at their team, it's mostly been defense the last 2 years. So, which is crazy because the year they had Jane Daniels, they had no defense. So LSU can never, for some reason, they can't seem to get a good defense and offense on the same team. It's either, you have a great offense and no defense, or a great defense and no offense. This year, I think they're going to have both. So expect LSU to contend this year, offensively at least. So that's Sam Leavitt. I'm excited to see what he can do there. Next is the quarterback we just mentioned not that long ago, Hussein Longstreet. This quarterback was former USC, newly LSU. He's a freshman. This guy's going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait for him in probably 2027. I don't think he's starting in 2026 when you have someone like Sam Leavitt. When I saw he was transferring from USC, he was a sneaky guy that I was like, wherever he goes, they're going to be in luck. Because, you have Oregon. Oregon's a team that brought in Dylan Raiola, and he's going to sit behind Dante Moore for a year. Hussein Longstreet is another guy that transferred who didn't have to start. Dylan Raiola didn't have to start. Hussein Longstreet doesn't have to start. Guy's a freshman. He doesn't have to start. He's got 3 years of eligibility if he needs it. So he's not going to start. So who will start quarterback? I'm going to say Sam Leavitt. That'd be my guess, would be Sam Leavitt. When we get into spring intel, we'll get more of a, feel on what the quarterback situation is there, but I'd be shocked if you don't see Sam Leavitt starting quarterback for them. Next up, real quick, I forgot to throw up Hussein Longstreet's stats, but he's a freshman. He didn't really play a ton, so you can't really expect a ton from him. Next is a quarterback that was, I want to say, one of the first quarterbacks to enter the portal, and that is Brendan Sorsby. Former Cincinnati quarterback, newly Texas Tech. This guy's a 5-star. He was a 5-star portal ranking. He is the second-ranked portal player. The second-ranked portal player overall. I'm very excited to see what he could do at Texas Tech. He's played in the Big 12. He was at Cincinnati, so it's not like he's, being in a new conference. He knows the competition, and I think he's going to excel here. Texas Tech's the Big 12 favorites. You have Texas Tech 1, BYU, Utah, Arizona State. Those are the favorites to win the Big 12. Clear starter for Texas Tech in 2026. I don't really know what else to say about him. Other than the expectations for Texas Tech in 2026 is going to be win the Big 12 again. Get to the playoffs again, maybe win a game in the playoffs, but mostly just win the Big 12 again because that's probably what they're going to do. And next is a player that I am very high on, and this is Chaz Coleman, the former Penn State edge rusher. This guy pro comp is Abdul Carter. He's from Penn State. I think he's going to be phenomenal. From Penn State to Tennessee. He's now at Tennessee. He was a 5-star portal player, ranked 5-star according to 247 Sports. He is 7th overall portal player in the portal 247 Sports rankings. One of the things that I keep an eye on with Chaz Coleman is he's back with his former defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, which is big. That is big because Jim Knowles was, kind of the player. He was his first ever defensive coordinator was Jim Knowles. So I think not too much is going to have to change for Chaz Coleman. So I think he's going to be in kind of the same system. I really am excited to see what this Tennessee team can do, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Quarterback, I'm not quite sure. They brought in Ryan Staub. I don't know what they're going to be quite yet. I mean, Chaz Coleman's a freshman. Again, those stats, he just kind of played off and on this year. But as for Tennessee, I just think that they'll probably be a top 25 team. Will they win the SEC? Absolutely not. I don't think so. I mean, they could, but I don't think so. Next is another player that I really like. I like all these players, to be honest with you. Drew Mestemaker, former quarterback from North Texas, newly Oklahoma State. He is a 5-star portal ranked or rated player. He is ranked 3rd in 247 Sports rankings for the portal. Key thing here, he reunites with a lot of North Texas players, plus the coach. North Texas coach left North Texas to go to Oklahoma State, so I'm very excited to see what he can do there. Again, key players, Caleb Hawkins, the running back from North Texas, also transferred to Oklahoma State. I cannot wait to see what those two as a pair do. The receiver from North Texas also went to Oklahoma State as well. So is this Oklahoma State's team going to compete for the Big 12 this year? That's the question I have is, can this team compete for the Big 12? I'm going to say yeah. That'd be my guess. I think, will I pick them to win the Big 12? Probably not. Will I pick them to be in the Big 12 championship? I don't know. We're going to wait on I'll do my, conference predictions probably more towards the summer. Maybe I'll do an early one. Maybe I'll do like a preview in the spring. But main conference predictions, we'll get to the hardcore stuff in the summer. Another player that I really liked in the portal, or by the way, Drew Mestemaker, here's his stats, by the way. I mean, the guy had 4,000 yards, 34 touchdowns, only 9 picks, 68% completion percentage. The guy was just a phenomenal player. I'm very excited to see what he can do at Oklahoma State. Texas A&M, bringing in a key player, Isaiah Horton. This is a phenomenal pickup for Texas A&M, and not just for the reason that because, this guy was like big name receiver, 4-star. He was ranked 11th in the 247 portal rankings. It's not only that. It's the fact that Horton pairs up with Mario Craver at wide receiver. This will be a deadly pair. Deadly pair at wide receiver. I cannot wait for this Texas A&M season because, yes, they had Casey Concepcion last year, so it's not like they're, losing out on. It's not like they're getting better at the wide receiver spot, but they're maintaining wide receiver, which is what Texas A&M needs to do because the season they had last year wasn't bad. Can A&M continue winning? Will they go 11-1? I don't know. We'll get to record predictions on teams probably next week. I'll start, trying to preview some schedules next week, especially in the SEC, because I think the Big 12 hasn't put out their schedule yet. And, some teams haven't put out their schedules yet, but the SEC has. So I will start previewing some schedules soon. What do we get from Marcel Reed? Because that's his quarterback at Texas A&M. So what do we get there? This is the biggest question. Do we get a Marcel Reed, career year? Because he was okay last year. He was nothing to write home about, but he was good. The year before that, he kind of split time with Connor Wigman. Now it's his full-time team. I mean, this guy's been here. He knows how to run this offense. Marcel Reed, no excuses this year. So I'm excited to see what this Texas A&M team can do and hopefully continue winning. Next is Baylor. Baylor signed a big player in the portal, and that is DJ Legway, former Florida quarterback, newly Baylor quarterback. He's the 14th player in the portal according to 247 Sports, 4-star rated. Here's a big thing about DJ Legway is he probably 9 times out of 10 would have landed at FSU. but FSU kind of dropped the ball on that. They went for Ashton Daniels. I think they went the cheap route, but I think DJ Lagway would have been the best option. But him at Baylor is a fun pair. I expect big things for Dave Aranda and DJ Lagway in 2026. I've always been a Dave Aranda supporter. I've loved Dave Aranda as the head coach at Baylor. Even in his down years, I thought he was going to have a good team. I cannot wait for this Baylor team. I predicted Baylor versus Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship last year, if that tells you how high I was on them. So, am I going to do that again this year? Probably not. But, I mean, hey, 8-4, not too bad. 9-3, we'll take it. We'll take it. Byron Brown is the next player I have in front of me. Byron Brown's going to be a phenomenal quarterback for Auburn. Auburn has had quarterback struggles for a long time, maybe since Cam Newton, I think. But I tell you what, bringing in, they had Bo Nix in like 2020, I want to say. 2020 was Bo Nix, I'm pretty sure. He was really good. But for Byron Brown, for Auburn, bringing in a good quarterback, especially pairing up with his former head coach, because Brown is the quarterback that Auburn has been waiting for, to be honest with you. I had to throw that in there. But Brown is teaming up with former head coach at USF, Alex Golesh. So I think that's going to be a fun pair in the SEC, especially. We'll see what they can do there. Is he a Heisman contender? I have that written down. He was the 24th rated portal player according to 247. Is he a Heisman contender? I don't know. I want to say yes, but I don't know. We'll get into kind of the Heisman odds later. I did my preseason Heisman pick, and I think I want to say I took Julian Sayin, but I think Byron Brown's definitely going to be a Heisman player at Auburn if he can get some good pieces around him. Stats at USF, it says it for himself. I don't have to explain these stats. These stats are phenomenal. 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 7 picks. Got another 1,000 yards on the ground. He had over 4,200 yards total. So the guy's going to be a phenomenal player. Next is Deuce Knight, the former Auburn quarterback, newly Ole Miss, taking over for Trinidad Chambliss. I assume at this point Trinidad Chambliss isn't coming back. Ole Miss also lost Austin Simmons. He went to Missouri. I got to say, how good can Deuce Knight be? Can he be good enough for Ole Miss to contend for the playoffs? I think so. I hope so. I loved whenever Ole Miss was good. It was fun to see. He only played one game. So this is only 1 game stats for Deuce Knight. So don't take this too much into consideration, his stats, because it's only a 1 game sample size. But I think he's going to be a phenomenal player. Sorry to take a quick drink. The mouth was getting dry. But I think he's going to be a phenomenal player, especially in the Ole Miss system. Trinidad Chambliss thrived. I think he'll thrive as well. Next is a player I am excited about. The next 2 players combined are going to be guys I'm excited about. It says it on the screen. Nick Marsh. I am excited about Nick Marsh. He is going to be a great player. I cannot wait to see him paired with a certain quarterback that we'll talk about next. But Nick Marsh, former Michigan State, newly Indiana, 4-star in the ratings for 247, 33rd ranked in 247. Marsh plus Josh Hoover, former TCU quarterback, new Indiana quarterback. That's a quarterback we'll talk about here in a few moments. But I was going through former Michigan State receivers, former Indiana guys, and who was I going to compare this guy to? Keon Coleman. Nick Marsh is kind of gonna be Keon Coleman. I think he's gonna be, this is pro comparison, is Keon Coleman. He's a sophomore. He's gonna be a phenomenal player. I cannot wait to see what he can do at Michigan State, or at Indiana. I'm sorry. But yeah, him pairing up with Josh Hoover is gonna be a phenomenal pair. And speaking of Josh Hoover, he was the former TCU quarterback, newly Indiana, 4-star, 46th ranked player in the portal. His TCU offense was very similar to Indiana's. Indiana was number 1 in read option plays run. TCU was number 2. So that's why they went after Josh Hoover, because he's so similar, runs the same type of offense that Indiana does. So I think it's going to be a seamless fit. I think he's just going to slide right into Indiana's, system. I think he's going to fit perfectly with that Kurt Cignetti Indiana team, who might run it back. We'll see. So, yeah, that's my Josh Hoover take. Him plus Marsh should be a great duo, like I said earlier. And his stats for TCU are kind of just explain it for themselves. I mean, it was pretty good stats. He's a very good player. Like I said, I'm excited to see what he can do at Indiana. I think he's going to be a phenomenal quarterback for them and kind of just take over the Fernando Mendoza role very nicely. Next is quarterback Rocco Becht, former Iowa State quarterback, newly Penn State, 247 rating. He's listed as a 4-star, 34th player in the portal, right behind Nick Marsh. He's also following Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell was the head coach for Iowa State, newly head coach for Penn State. I think he's going to be a guy that will be able to work in Andy Kolenicki's offense. I believe Andy Kolenicki's still the offensive coordinator there, so he'll hopefully fit well there. What will Penn State be in 2026? Well, that is we're actually going to talk about Penn State at the end of the show as well, not in a specific segment, but someone asked a question about Penn State, so we'll get into that at the end of the show. But Penn State, I think, needs to win like 9 games, 10 games, and that will be good enough in year 1 for Matt Campbell. After that, there's going to be high expectations, but just start winning with Penn State. Bring them back. Kind of bring them back to the national radar. All right. We got 2 more players left. Go rapid fire here. Hollywood Smothers is the former NC State running back. He is the new Texas running back. Hollywood Smothers, plus Arch Manning, plus Cam Coleman will be just insane. This offense is going to be high-powered. I cannot wait to see what this team does offensively. It's just going to be insane. It's an insane trio. This guy was like, almost a 1,000-yard rusher at NC State. Yeah, almost a 1,000-yard rusher. 939 yards at Penn State on 160 rushes. Guy averaged basically 6 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns. So, phenomenal player. 0 fumbles, by the way. So, he's going to be a great player. And last but not least, Quincy Porter, former Ohio State wide receiver, newly to Notre Dame. He is listed as a 4-star, 45th player in 247 Sports portal rankings. He will be C.J. Carr's top weapon alongside Jordan Faison. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player. I can't wait to see what this C.J. Carr plus Quincy Porter plus Jordan Faison Notre Dame team does. I think they're going to be a phenomenal team. I can't wait just to watch Notre Dame in general. I think Notre Dame's going to be definitely way better than they were last year. That's no knock on the players they had last year. But C.J. Carr coming back for another year is going to be phenomenal. Pairing with Quincy Porter, who the guy's a freshman. The guy's got 3 years left in college. He kind of didn't have that many stats for, this team. Sorry, the graphic went away. But he kind of didn't have that many stats throughout the year. But it's because he only played in like a few games. So, again, that's my take on the portal. I think it's going to be a phenomenal portal class of players coming up for the 2026 season. I cannot wait. And, yeah, that's my entire transfer portal take. I'm going to take a drink of water, and then we'll jump right into a way too early top 10. Fun. I got to tell you, we're 40 minutes into the show. I knew this was going to be a long one. We still got a top 10. We still got college football playoff expansion update and 2 viewer questions. So, jam-packed show. Like I said, I wasn't lying when I made that post on YouTube. I was not lying about the show being absolutely jam-packed. So, let's jump into a top 10. We're doing good in terms of numbers. Got 20 views so far on the show. And again, the show was doing pretty good on my other channel, but now that we're bringing it over to this channel, it gives us more resources, and let's just get the show growing. The show's slowly starting to grow, and I really like where it's at, so it's starting to kind of build back up, and I'm kind of excited where the future can take this show. So, with that being said, way too early top 10 for 2026. This is a segment I've been wanting to do for ever since the season ended, to be honest with you. I kind of was excited. I had my top 10 I made it like Tuesday. I think I made it Tuesday. I think I made this top 10 sheet Tuesday. So it's a fun top 10. I'm interested to see what your guys' take is on the top 10. I want to know what you would change and what you would add, or if you would keep it the exact same. But I doubt everyone has the same top 10. So we can jump right into it. Starting at number 10, if you're listening on podcast, that is basically saying time to lock in here. Number 10 is the Oklahoma Sooners. They are my number 10 team in the country for a few reasons. Number 1, John Mateer is returning. And I think that is the biggest part of this Oklahoma team is you're bringing back John Mateer, a quarterback who played well for this team. Like John Mateer played well up until his hand got hurt in like week 3 against Auburn. He never was the same again. But I tell you what, him coming back fully healthy, Heisman contender, dare I say, guy's going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait to see him back. All right, number 9 is Miami. I have Miami as the number 9 team in my rankings for 2026. I think that this Miami team is going to be a little not as good as they were this past year, but I still think they're going to be good. I mean, they were 10 last year. I have them as 9. Of course, that could change depending on if Miami pulls a Miami and loses 2 games that they shouldn't lose. Miami is the team that seems to win games that they shouldn't win and lose games that they shouldn't lose. It's like Miami doesn't make any sense sometimes, but that's called pulling a Miami. So, yeah, Miami is hopefully getting quarterback Darian Mensah from the portal. We're not sure about that. Still a lot of NCAA legal things going on with Miami, so we'll kind of get a feel for what Miami's going to be here soon, whether they get Darian Mensah or they have to go somewhere else. So we'll see what happens there. Texas Tech. Texas Tech's coming off of a program season, I'm talking like one of the better seasons they've had in a long time. And they needed it because Joe McGuire and company are coming back with a vengeance. I personally think that that Texas Tech is going to be probably win the Big 12. That'd be my early preseason prediction. So one of the big key things here is they're getting new quarterback Brendan Sorsby. We talked about him earlier in the portal talk. He was at Cincinnati. He's now at Texas Tech. I think he's going to be the season changer for Texas Tech. I think he's going to be a phenomenal quarterback for them. Patrick Mahomes type, I would say. Number 7, Texas A&M. Texas A&M is going to be a phenomenal player. A phenomenal player in the SEC. They're going to contend for the SEC championship. Will they win it? That's a whole different story. But they will contend, and they got a shot because they got Marcel Reed, brought in Isaiah Horton from the portal. Mario Craver's coming back. This team's going to contend. It's Mike Elko and Texas A&M. This team's going to contend. Just expect that now from Texas A&M, hopefully moving forward. Number 6 is Notre Dame. We just talked about them not that long ago. Notre Dame bringing in Quincy Porter, former 5-star receiver from Ohio State. I'm excited to see what this Notre Dame team can do, especially with CJ Carr. It says there on the graphic he's returning. I'm excited to see what he can do returning. Can he make this team even better than they have been? Is this going to be his peak year? A lot of questions that need answered that will get answered. I'm very confident that this Notre Dame team is going to be a top 10 team. No doubt about it. I think they're going to have a very undeniable season when it comes to putting them in the playoff. That's just my take. Number 5. I just punched the wrong graphic. I punched the Notre Dame pictures graphic. We could just leave it there for a second. All right. Number 5. Indiana Hoosiers. The Indiana Hoosiers are a team that I think that's going to be a phenomenal team. Are they going to be as good as last year's team? Or should I say this past year's team? Short answer, probably not. My answer, my guess would be they're probably not going to be that good, but they're going to be a good team. Indiana's going to be a very good team. I think that they're going to secretly contend for the Big Ten again. Not secretly, but they're going to contend for the Big Ten again. I think they're going to be top 3 in the Big Ten. Call me crazy, but I do think that they're going to be top 3 again. Again, Josh Hoover plus Nick Marsh, Kurt Cignetti coming back off a national championship win. I mean, this team's got a lot to play for. I mean, not as much as they did. I mean, Indiana could go and win 3 games, and fans would still not care. So that's Indiana at number 5. Number 4, I have as the Georgia Bulldogs. I think Georgia's going to be a good team. Bringing back Gunnar Stockton, he's going to probably contend for a Heisman. I say that about almost every good quarterback, but I think he's going to be a good quarterback back in the SEC for another year. Guy kind of secretly dominated last year, especially against some teams like Texas and Bam in the SEC championship. He showed what he can be. Him coming back, I'm excited. Can Georgia get a big and meaner defense than they had this past year? Can they bring back a good Georgia defense? They need to bring back the former Georgia defenses. Like I'm talking 2021, 2022 Georgia-style defenses. That's what they need to bring back. Next is Oregon. I think Oregon is the number 3 team in the country. I just see a lot in Oregon. A lot of people don't see what I see in Oregon. A lot of people are like, well, I'm hesitant with Oregon. They have a bad taste in their mouth with what happened to Indiana. And there's, especially with Dante Moore. Like, well, Dante Moore had like 4 turnovers in that game. Dante Moore is going to come back more experienced. Now, there's no guarantee that, you come back and you're instantly going to be amazing. No guarantee of that. But I do think he's going to come back and be a good player for Oregon. I think he's going to be a leader of this team, especially with experience. I think he's going to contend. So I have Oregon at number 3. My number 2 team in the country, you could probably guess who 2 and 1 are at this point. Number 2 is Texas. A lot of people are probably either screaming at their screen or saying, okay, perfect. That's where I would have put them. The people that are screaming at their screen are probably the ones that are saying, well, look where they ended last year. They missed the playoffs last year. They were only won 9 games, 9-3. No way this team deserves the number 2 ranking. I'm going to go ahead and tell you this right now. I don't know if you've been told this yet, but 2026 versus 2025 season is a whole nother year. And right now, no team deserves their ranking at all. Oregon, Georgia, Indiana, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, none of those teams deserve their ranking. No one deserves their ranking. This is just me ranking teams in terms of who I think has the best rosters, who's going to be the best, who's got the best position to win. Texas, in my opinion, is number 2. They may be one of the most talented rosters in college football, aside from maybe Ohio State or, like Georgia or something. But I think they're one of the most talented rosters in college football because you have Arch Manning, you have Hollywood Smothers coming in from the portal, you have Cam Coleman, you're bringing back, what's the receiver they're bringing back? I can't remember what the receiver is that they're bringing back, but they're bringing back pieces, and they're going to be a good team. Texas, in my opinion, is the number 2 team in the country. You could argue that and say, I don't think so. I think Arch Manning's going to have another mediocre year. And if he does, they're probably not going to be the number 2 team. That prediction is probably shot. Now, we'll do a top 25 before the season. And, when WI ratings come out, which I can explain what that is some other time. But when those things come out, maybe Texas will be adjusted. We'll see what we see in camp. We'll get camp intel soon, but I have Texas as my number 2 team in the country. Number 1 is a team that you guessed probably, Ohio State. Ohio State's my number 1 team in the country. I think they're going to be a phenomenal team for more reasons than one. Number 1, Julian Sains coming back. That was a Heisman contending quarterback. Number 2, Jeremiah Smith's coming back. That was the alien receiver who was in the Heisman contention as well, technically. And number 3, it's Ryan Day. It's Ohio State. You can't doubt them. This team, you can't doubt them. With the amount of talent they're bringing back, with the experience they're bringing back, I am very excited for this team. Now, yes, they lost some key players in the portal, but they're bringing in guys like Chris Henry, 5-star receiver. So, I got to say, I think that this team's going to sneaky contend. I think they're my number 1 team in the country. I'll be excited what you guys have them and where you guys have them on your list. But I got them as my number 1 team in the country. And if you don't like that, let me know in the comments why you don't like that. And also let me know, where would you put them? Would you put them at 2? Would you put them at 3? Would you put them at 5? Would you not even put them in your top 10? That'd be drugs. But, hey, maybe you don't want to put them in your top 10. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what your take is on that. But that is my entire way too early top 10 for 2026. Actually, you know what? I had a few honorable mentions I wanted to get to. Number 1 honorable mention is Michigan. Michigan's a team that I think could easily slide into like the 10 spot. These are all teams that I could see getting into the top 10 within the first 1 to 2 weeks of the season. Michigan's got to be up there. Alabama's a team that I think is up there. Just with, key pieces coming back. Austin Mack versus Keelan Russell. Quarterback competition. We'll see in spring who starts. But Ryan Williams is coming back, so there is a way for them to succeed. And then LSU is another team I have listed on here. I think LSU is going to be a contender. I think LSU has what it takes with Sam Leavitt, with, just bringing back talent and bringing talent in. I think they have what it takes, especially with Lane Kiffin there. And then Ole Miss. Sorry, the Alabama slide kicked on. But Ole Miss is another team I have on there. We don't think Trinidad Chambliss is going to come back, so that's why I don't have them in my top 10. If he was coming back, I think I'd slide them in at 10. I'd move Oklahoma out and slide them in. But he's not. Most likely. If he does, I can adjust that. Honestly, you could just adjust it in your mind and know that I would switch Ole Miss with Oklahoma. Now, they have Deuce Knight, so maybe Deuce Knight will come out and maybe not be Trinidad Chambliss that good, but be serviceable. And last but not least, I have as an honorable mention is USC. I think USC is going to be a sneaky contender for this thing. I think USC can contend for this thing. I'll be excited to see if they can get inside the top 10. Like I said, they're going to be a Big Ten contender with Jade Mayava coming back. So I'm very excited about all those teams I listed. All the teams I listed, I'm very excited to see. So that is my entire way too early top 10 for 2026. Take a drink of water real quick. Just want to announce that because sometimes on podcasts it sounds like the audio glitched out, so that's why. All right. Like I said, we got college football playoff expansion update, and then we have 2 viewer questions. And then we're gonna get out of here. Probably not gonna be under an hour. Definitely not gonna be under an hour. But we got a lot of content in. We only do 1 show per week now, so we're getting a lot of content in. So I'm very excited for that. All right. We can go ahead and jump into that right now. It's going to be a fun segment. What is happening with the college football playoff? The college football playoff it's expanding, or is it? I don't know. Let's dive right into it. So the commissioners met on Friday. This is something that was this past Friday. The commissioners met on Friday. That was the college football commissioners. Friday was the deadline. January 23rd, which is Friday, was the deadline that they had to have a format for the playoff decided upon. Well, they failed. They failed to come to an agreement on a new format for the playoff. So, what does that mean? The playoff will remain at 12 teams, and I gotta say, I'm happy with that. I am totally happy with the playoff staying at 12 teams. I did not want 13 teams, or not 13. I did not want more teams. I'm glad there's not more teams. I didn't even want I didn't even want 14. I don't want 16. I don't want 24. But I am happy it's staying at 12 for another year. At least we get 1 more year of 12 teams. Now, I did want to touch on why the commissioners couldn't come to an agreement, because we know why. The Big Ten, their proposed format was a 24-team playoff, and I gotta say, the 24-team playoff might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'll explain to you why in a second. But the SEC wants a 5+11 model. So they want 16 teams and want 5+11, 5 conference champions, and 5 auto bids, 5 at large. 5 auto bids and 11 at large. That is what the SEC wants. I want to go back to the 2014 playoff talk. The Big Ten wants a 2014 playoff. I'm going to tell you why that's a dumb idea. And I could sum up in a few takes here. That's the 12 teams that made the college football playoff this past year, by the way. So, also, another thing I wanted to touch on real quick was it's crazy how I'd never mentioned the ACC and the Big 12. It's like they don't even have a take on what the playoff's going to be. That's because it's basically a Power 2 league. In my hands, I hold a 24-team college football playoff bracket, hand drawn, and this is what it would be. This would be the 2020. If the 2025 season, this past season, if it was a 2014 playoff, this is what it would be. I want your take on whether this is dumb or good. You would have USC versus Arizona, James Madison versus Alabama, Tulane versus Texas, Houston versus BYU, Michigan versus Utah, Iowa versus Miami, Virginia versus Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech versus Notre Dame. That is your games. That is your first-round games. Your byes would go to Indiana, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Ole Miss. You're telling me 10-2 Oklahoma would have gotten a bye week? Yeah. Oklahoma, a team that lost 2 games, would have got a bye week. This is the dumbest playoff model I think I've ever heard, because there is no world where a 10-2 team should ever get a bye week. I just hope that this never happens. I hope we never get to this world. It just doesn't make sense. Plus, who wants to see Texas Tulane? Who wants to see Alabama James Madison? Like Iowa Miami. Do we think Iowa deserved a playoff spot this year? Absolutely not. Do we think Georgia Tech deserved a playoff spot? No. Do we think Virginia deserved a playoff spot? Absolutely not. Houston. Can we argue for Utah, Michigan? Yeah, you can argue for those teams. But some of these teams did not deserve. Did Arizona deserve a playoff spot? No. No, absolutely not. So when it comes to the playoff and it comes to proposed models, 24 team is what is going to destroy college football. We cannot have a 24-team playoff. It would destroy it because it would take all the incentive of winning games. This is a 12-team playoff. This is my perfect model. This looks perfect to me. Alabama, Oklahoma, Miami, Texas A&M. Now, we could do away with James Madison and Tulane. I'd love for a G5 to have their own playoff. Then you could bring in teams like Notre Dame and Vanderbilt. But this is the max amount of teams I want to have. I know it doesn't come down to me. I don't make the decision, obviously, but this is my perfect world, is a 12-team college football playoff. That is how I would like it. That is how I hope it goes. And I got to say, we can only hope at this point. So that is my full take on the playoff and what is happening. I just hope we never get to a world of 24 teams. So that's my entire take on the college football playoff. Well, there it is. Quick playoff update. We're about like 46 minutes in, and we got 2 viewer questions to answer. Over-under was 60 minutes. Looks like we're going to be pretty close to that. We might be in the double digits. We might not hit 3 digits in the hour column. I guess it'd be 4 digits to 5 digits, but yeah. Anyway, make sure before we get into these questions, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like the show. Make sure you like the video, and make sure you comment. Put your comments in the live chat in the comments of the video, because if your comment is good enough, which most of them are, I have yet to not all the comments you guys have put. I have yet to not put one of your comments or one of your questions in the show. So we've had like 5 questions, and I've gone over all 5 of them in the last like 2 shows. Make sure you're following on Twitter and Discord, by the way. Links in the description for those. So, yeah. Here we go. 2 viewer questions. Had a lot of paper, and now we're down to 2 pieces. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right. Answering some viewer questions. First one is, we could pop it up on the screen here. Johnny hit me up and said, should LSU start Michael Van Buren, Sam Leavitt, or Hussein Longstreet? Well, first off, Michael Van Buren transferred to USF. So if you're watching this, Johnny, I do want to say that Michael Van Buren is not in the conversation because he transferred to the University of South Florida. So he is no longer on the team. So who should start, Sam Leavitt or Hussein Longstreet? We kind of talked about this earlier when we broke down, Sam Leavitt and Hussein Longstreet in, grading portal players. My take is a great question, by the way. Thank you, Johnny, for your submission. My take is Sam Leavitt in 2026 and Hussein Longstreet in 2027. That is what I think should happen. That is what I think we will see. So that's just my take. I think that'd be the best guess for me, at least, of what's going to happen in the playoff. All right. I love that question, by the way. By the way, here's Sam Leavitt's stats for Arizona State, and there's Hussein Longstreet's stats for, Hussein Longstreet's stats for USC. He was a freshman, but yeah, for LSU, I think Sam Leavitt is the clear starter in 2026, and I think As for 2026 or 2027 and beyond, I think Longstreet takes the cake there. So, like I said, it could change. Spring camp, we'll get spring intel within the next probably month or two, probably 2 months. Start getting spring intel. I'd say about a month and a half. We'll get spring intel in March. But yeah, beautiful stadium, by the way. LSU, beautiful at night. I'm just saying that because in the B-roll pictures here. All right, one more question. Here we go. One more question. Just MD3 hit me up and said, what college football team needs the most improvement in 2026? He didn't say in 2026, but I'm going to guess he says in 2026. I can go ahead and answer that for you. I think the team that needs, I'm going to give you 3. I love the question, by the way. Like, this is quality stuff. It's quality questions right here. I couldn't narrow it down to 1, so I'm going to give you a list of 3 teams in college football that I think need to improve for 2026. Number 1. Do we all see it coming? I don't know. That's Florida State. Florida State is my number 1 team I think that needs to improve in 2026. Mike Norvell was he was the coach at Florida State, and he's gone 2023 seems like forever ago. That was when they went 13-0 and got snubbed from the playoffs, but we don't have to talk about that very long. But yeah, 2023 seems like forever ago. 2024, he went 2-10. 2025, this past year, he went, I think, 5-7. Yeah, 5-7. So I just think that they need to win like 8 games. Win like 8-9 games. Just get back to the winning column and just start winning games. Win like 8-9 games. That's all it takes. 8-9 games and just get things back together. And if you're a Florida State fan and you want Mike Norvell fired, then hope for no games. Hopefully he gets fired week 3, I guess, if that's what you want. But for me, Florida State's got to be my number 1. Number 2 for me is it's Alabama. Alabama's my number 2. That's because Kalen DeBoer is the coach there. His first season, they went 9-4, missed the playoffs, lost in the bowl game. His second year, this past year, they went 10-4, lost in the second round of the college football playoff. But high expectations for Alabama. And Kalen DeBoer needs to meet those expectations if he wants to have success here and be here for a long time. I'm not saying he should get fired even if they win 10 games again. Even if they win 9 games again, I'm not saying he should be fired. I get where Alabama fans are coming from. That's because Alabama expectations were so high with Nick Saban. Kind of got spoiled a little bit, Alabama fans did. But I would say for Alabama, just kind of win like 9 games. Just win like 10 games and you'll be fine. Just win like 10 games and everything will be all right. And as for Penn State, they're my number 3. Penn State's my last team I have on this list. Penn State came off of a 6-6 season, 7-6. They won their bowl game. Come off a 7-6 season. Very underwhelming season. Again, Drew Aller got hurt halfway through the season. James Franklin got fired. They started the season like 3-3. It was rough. It was definitely rough. But I think bringing in Matt Campbell as a new head coach from formerly Iowa State is the best decision that they could have made. Best decision. Bring in a lot of Iowa State players, basically imported Iowa State's team. Quarterback Rocco Beck's going to make a difference. I think as for Penn State, just win like 9 games. Just win 9 games. Slowly build towards the future. Because the future for Penn State is going to be, Penn State fans expect a lot of wins. You don't need to win 10, 11 games in year 1, Matt Campbell. If you do, great. But you don't have to. Just win a certain amount of games, get in a great bowl game, maybe contend for the playoffs, and just keep building. Just slowly keep building. So those are all the questions from the Q&A. I appreciate you guys for your questions. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you guys are following my Twitter and Discord at Wyatt Zang CFB for Twitter. You can join the Discord using the link in the description, or you can go to straight to my Twitter page with the link in the description. You can also subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast feeds, and yeah, a lot of things you can subscribe to. And it's all free. Everything's free. It won't scam you. It won't nothing. Everything's free. So I appreciate you guys for watching. And yeah, good show tonight. It was a fun show. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that is it for is it for this week's show. Again, it says Monday show. We normally do Thursday shows, but for up until the summer, so until June, we will do 1 show per week. Maybe July. I think maybe in July we'll go to 2 shows per week. Well, we'll see based on schedules. I'm really busy in the spring and summer, but we're definitely going to have 1 show a week. But when the season starts, definitely in August, by the time August comes, definitely we will have 2 shows per week. That's Monday, Thursday. So, appreciate you guys for watching. We will see you guys next Monday, same time, same place, same channel. See you guys then. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great start to your week, and God bless.